Hello, I'm Tracy Matthews. I work for the Campbell County Chamber of Commerce, and today we're here with Nathan McLeland, and he's running for City Council Ward 3. Good morning, Nathan.
Good morning, Tracy. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. How are you?
I'm well.
If you want to start by telling us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. My name's Nathan McLeland. I've represented Ward 3 on the City Council. This will be my 6th year. I've done it. I've really enjoyed the experience. I'm running to retain my seat because it's just great. I've just enjoyed being on the City Council and enjoy the work that we get to do there. A little bit of my history. I'm a Gillette native. I graduated from Campbell County High School in 1995. I then went to the University of Wyoming, graduated with a degree in political science in 2000. Went on to law school, graduated from the University of Wyoming College of Law in 2003. I passed the bar that summer, came back here, practiced law in kind of a general law practice for about 4 years, and then I went over to our family oil and gas business, M&K Oil Company. I'm currently the CEO of that business. It's our 50th year being in that business, so we're really excited about that. Served on a lot of boards in our community. I've served on the Gillette College Advisory Board. I've served on the Campbell County Public Land Board. I currently serve on the Campbell County Joint Powers Fire Board, the Gillette College Foundation Board. So bring a lot of experience to the table. Excited to keep working with the City Council.
Thank you. So Nathan, talk to me about the different funding mechanisms for this position.
So the City of Gillette is funded in a few different ways, depending on kind of what we're talking about as far as what the city is doing. Most of the time you probably think about things that come out of the general fund in the City of Gillette. And that's kind of the fund that's kind of the I guess, fund that does the kind of city things you typically think of: streets, police department, snow removal, those kinds of things. And the general fund is mainly funded through sales tax. It's mainly funded through the portion of the sales tax that the state of Wyoming sends back to the City of Gillette. And so that fund, that general fund, is very, I guess, sensitive to changes in our economy. And that kind of provides the general services that the city does. We also have a 1% fund. 1%, there's an optional 1% sales tax that the citizens vote on every 4 years, and the City of Gillette gets a portion of that. That's quite often used to provide infrastructure, streets, mainly streets, utility projects, things like that, things that really kind of keep the City of Gillette going, keep the infrastructure going. It currently is funding the Campbell County, the city's portion of the Campbell County Fire Department. You know, the 1%, we work hard to kind of follow the guidance we get in the survey that is sent out periodically for the citizens to fill out. They give us feedback on how they would like to see those funds spent, and the city works very hard to kind of follow that guidance from the citizens. And then the city also has what we call enterprise funds, which would typically be utility type activities of the city, and those are generally funded by the fees that the customers of those services pay. So that would be the utilities, the electrical utility, the sewer utility, the water utility, those types of things. And so those are really the main funding sources for the City of Gillette. You know, as far as our general fund, one thing that is difficult with that is we don't have a lot of input and say in the money that comes into that fund. You know, the state kind of says what we get there, and that can be difficult from a planning standpoint. So, but that's generally how the City of Gillette's funded.
Nice, thank you. So what do you think the most challenging issue you will face during your term?
Well, one of the most challenging things that I'll face during my term is something that's always there in Gillette, and that's the boom and bust nature of our economy. We rely heavily on minerals. Those markets are highly volatile, and those affect the revenues that local governments receive, and the state government for that matter as well. So budgeting in that kind of an environment can be very challenging, and trying to figure out, what revenues are going to be and what you have to work with can be very challenging. The city of Gillette takes a pretty conservative approach. We've done a very good job, handling that kind of uncertainty, but it is very challenging. I think another really challenging thing that's been out there and is coming to the forefront more and more is just making sure that everybody knows the value Gillette provides to the nation as a whole. I think regardless of your politics, it's clear that there are rules and regulations coming down that are trying to make what we do in Gillette and Campbell County very hard. And I think that we need to push back. We need to make sure that everyone understands the value that we provide, and that what we do here is important. And I think one thing that's going to be challenging is how do we convey that message effectively? And it's been very difficult in the past. I expect it to be very difficult in the future. And I think another challenge is just working together to get things done. I think we have an incredibly divisive kind of environment right now that we work in local government and maybe in government in general. But, how do we find that kind of common ground? How do we find common interests in our community and work towards those goals? In the past, we've done that very effectively. I'd like to see us get to a point where we're doing that again.
In your elected position, how can you help foster positive relationships with other boards and entities?
So I spoke about that just a moment ago, and I think it goes back to kind of finding that common ground, finding those common goals that as a community, as elected leaders, that we can work towards. Those things that help our community, those kind of shared goals, get back to kind of that can-do attitude, and that attitude of this is something we need to do, and we need to find ways to work together to make it happen. I certainly always make myself available to other elected officials, to other board members, and I'd like to keep having those conversations and say, what can we do? What can we do to kind of keep our community moving forward, and what are our common goals?
Thank you. So what does economic diversification look like for our community to you?
To me, economic diversification really kind of starts with our existing businesses and kind of helping those existing businesses find new opportunities. I think we've seen in Gillette recently a lot of kind of the core businesses in Gillette looking for ways to adapt and new things to do, and they've done a good job kind of taking the lead on that. As a city, we ask, well, what do you need? Well, how can we help you? Is there infrastructure you need? Are there services you need that we can help you with as you move forward? I think one thing you've seen, housing. Housing is an incredibly tough issue for businesses looking to expand now. As a city, there are some things we can do to help out with that. You're going to see, I think, the council starting to look at some programs that can help with that issue. But I think that's a good example of listening to what businesses need, and kind of as a city saying, all right, this is a way we can help you. And I can't stress enough the importance of air service to those businesses. It's sometimes overlooked, but businesses looking to expand need reliable air service. And then I think another thing we can do is leverage what we have here. I mean, we have resources in Gillette. Maybe it's something as simple as lots of land, lots of open space. But what resources do we have that are going to be useful to companies looking to bring something new to Gillette or something new to the economy in general, and how can we help that? I think in general, though, as a city, we want to make sure that these businesses are not waiting on us, that we've done the research, we know what they need, and we're moving on that, and that we're not holding them up. And so I think if we kind of follow those guidelines, we'll be successful.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So, do you support the optional 1% tax? And if you do, would you support the addition of another 1%?
I support the optional 1% tax. We've done a lot of great things in this community with that tax. I think we've been responsible with that money. We've listened to how people want to see that money spent, and we've done a very good job. It's money that's spent locally, or that comes from local people and is spent locally here and helps our community. And so, yeah, I'm in support of the optional 1%. The additional 1%, I think that's a decision people are going to have to make this fall. I think they're going to have to think hard about their priorities and how they want to invest their money in Gillette. There are a couple projects, three initiatives on the ballot in particular, and I think the voters are going to have to decide what those priorities are. Some of those are pretty big investments. I know one issue I'm definitely in support of is the Gurley overpass. Since I've been on the council, and that's been almost 6 years now, that's been 1 or 2 on our infrastructure, priority list, maybe our overall priority list, during that whole time. The city has saved money to contribute to that project. We've received some federal money to contribute to that project, but we're running out of time, and that approving that project would push it over the line, and it would be a great benefit for the citizens of Gillette. Thank
you. Are there any questions that I didn't ask you that you would, or any topics that you would like to touch on?
I think generally I'd just like to say, I'm excited about the opportunity to continue serving on the city council. I've really enjoyed what I've done. I'm a hard worker. I'd like to keep working hard for this city and keep moving us ahead. And I'd really appreciate everyone's vote in Ward 3 in these elections.
Thank you, Nathan. I appreciate your time today. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to vote on August 20th.